Saving America one entrepreneur at a time. It's the Biz Wrap Podcast with your host, Michael Manahan. The show that celebrates small business and entrepreneurs. It's Biz Wrap Radio with your host, small businessman, educator, and author Michael Manahan. And welcome to another edition of Biz Wrap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. We are, of course, the show all about small business and entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new to Biz Wrap Radio, we are the show that really is fighting for entrepreneurs in America. I was talking to, most of the listeners know that I'm a university professor, a business consultant, and author, and what have you. But as a university professor, I was talking to a young lady who's enrolled in one of my accounting classes, and she was talking about the struggles she was having as a small entrepreneur here in Los Angeles who's developed an interesting product. She's kind of done a new twist on the conventional chocolate-dipped strawberries. Her business is growing leaps and bounds, and she was talking to me. She's a young lady, about 36 years old. She was talking to me about the challenges she's having as an entrepreneur here working in the Los Angeles area, the rules and regulations she's got to comply with, the difficulty she has in hiring staff and managing to produce her product, to store her product. It's not easy being an entrepreneur. But we need you entrepreneurs. As we pull out of the recession, most new jobs are created by small businesses. Yes, now that may be a surprise for a lot of you who read the newspaper, who think it's those big government grants to big corporations that create all the jobs. Not true. Most people in America actually work for small businesses, some 30 million businesses in the United States, and only a handful are huge mega corporations. There is millions and millions of small businesses employing the people in your neighborhood, and by the way, those small business owners live in your neighborhood. They're part of your community. So when you hear some of these politicians say, we got to go after the corporations, we got to get those nasty corporations to pay more tax. Well, that corporation could be the local tire shop that is owned by your next door neighbor, and the government's already soaking him for 35% or more of his income for the privilege of owning that tire shop. So does he really need to pay any more? These are things, ladies and gentlemen, you really have to think about when you listen to the rhetoric coming from these politicians. But anyway, enough of that. I really am excited today. I've got a fabulous guest, a wonderful show lined up as always. But many of you know that in a former life as a university professor, yes, I'm still a university professor, but I teach accounting and finance today. But there was a time when I taught business communications. It was a course I absolutely loved. One of my observations as a university professor is a lot of the students who are graduating today, their communication skills are really lacking, and yet these are the people who are going to be going into business, perhaps as entrepreneurs, perhaps running their own businesses, or perhaps running the business that you work for, and they don't have the communication skills they really need to be an effective manager, an effective employee, an effective leader. So I want to talk today about communications, and with me on the line, I've got Bill Stierle. He is the owner of Corporate Culture Development. He is definitely a communications guru and expert. Bill, welcome to the show.
Mike, thanks for having me on. It's good to be good.
I don't know what happened there, but just as I was introducing you, and maybe this is, I don't know, something going on from outer space, but there was the strangest sound came over the telephone lines, almost, I don't know, like an alien spacecraft was landing. So I hope that's a good sign.
I guess it is.
Yeah. So, Bill, tell me a little bit about corporate culture development and what you do.
Well, one of the things that I do at Corporate Culture Development is to provide communication training for executives and individuals who want to just become better at both why do people think the way they do, to understand how thinking impacts communication, and then why people behave the way they do to do a better job with emotional intelligence and dealing with emotions that both employees and leaders and customers have, and to provide my clients the ability to really just get a higher return on investment by saving time through effective communication.
This communication stuff is really important, and I talked a little bit about it. But can you tell us? I always like to get juicy kind of stories from my guests. Do you have any juicy story about perhaps somebody that you worked with as perhaps a client of yours that was just a walking communications disaster?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, I've got a few of those. So the one story that comes to mind is an individual who had a really hard time with trust with himself, trust with the process of his business, and then therefore trusting his employees. So there was this over supervision and over checking in to see if people were simply coming in on time. And as a person that would over communicate in that way, what wound up happening is that he would have high employee turnover rate because they got a sense that, well, they weren't trusting him, and then therefore they weren't respecting the employee. And he kept wondering, well, why do people keep leaving? All I was doing is checking in to see if they were on time. It's like, well, you're kind of babysitting them like their father did.
Wow.
And he didn't really get that it was his issue regarding trust, not their issue or the issue regarding timeliness. Is you're following somebody that's an adult here. And is it good to check in? Is it good to, test in once in a while to see how it went and timeliness and that kind of stuff? Yes, but not the level of supervision you were doing.
Well,
so
how did you discover that?
Yeah.
I mean, what was your process for discovering that was the issue?
Well, that's an interesting question, because the way emotional intelligence works is that it follows some very simple rules. And the first simple rule of emotional intelligence is that that human behavior can be summarized into one sentence. And the sentence is, now this is going to be interesting, so everybody's got to lean in for this one, because this one works all the time. This sentence works all the time. And the sentence is this, is no human being does anything unless a need of theirs is being met by what they're saying or doing. Now, what I just did was summarize human psychology in one sentence.
Wow.
So, for example, if a customer is not buying from me and they say the word no to me, that doesn't mean it's no. It means they're choosing something else with their purchase. They're choosing to keep their money safe, to build up a cash reserve. They're choosing to spend the money on another product. They're choosing something else. So the word no actually means the word choice. Now, can you imagine a salesperson that never heard the word no again and only heard the word choice? Well, it changes, Mike. That changes the narrative instantly.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say to you, Mike, give me, and you just say the word no back, by the way, for your part of the role play here.
Okay.
Mike, would you be willing to give me $100,000 for my business?
No.
Now, all you got to do, yeah, there it is. No, right? So my next sentence, watch what I say next. So, Mike, it sounds like you're choosing to spend the $100,000 on something else. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct.
Now I have a word yes. Now I just changed your no into a yes, because what I'm doing is I'm finding out the good reason why you don't want to spend any money in my direction. So now all of a sudden I'm actually building trust and relationship with you. The answer may still be no, but I'm actually in a place of curiosity rather than in a place of next.
Okay, Bill, I'm sorry to cut you off. We got a break for a commercial break here.
Perfect
This is
timing.
so interesting. I love this stuff. Mike Manahan, here with Bill Stierle, Corporate Culture Development, and we'll be back right after these messages. And welcome back to Biz Rap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. Thank you so much for sticking with me today. If you did just join us, we have on the line today Bill Stierle. And Bill is a communications expert. His firm is Corporate Culture Development. You can check out his website, corporateculturedevelopment.com. Bill, again, thank you so much for being on the show.
Delighted to be here, Mike. This is a lot of fun.
Okay, so we were just talking about how you can turn a no. You were giving an example of a salesperson who is used to getting no's from customers, and how you can turn those no's into yeses. You asked me if I'd give you $100,000 for your business. I said no, but then you asked, I think, if I had an alternate plan for the money, and I said yes, of course, and now you've got me saying yes. So continue on with your example. Tell us more.
Absolutely. So what happens is, if I'm finding the good reason why you're saying no, and that reason is important. Bill, I'd like to invest in your money, but, my grandma's sick and I need the $100,000 to carry her medical services. That means that this is a no sale. But not only is it a no sale, but I've already developed trust and compassion with you, and I become not somebody that's going inauthentically looking to sell somebody. I'm actually interested in the relationship ahead of the sale, because I want to make sure, whether it's a customer or an investor, that they are purchasing my product or service with joy. Now, that is the weirdest sentence that you may have heard out of the mouth of a person. Bill, you're trying to make sure that they're buying the thing with joy? Yes. Because if they're buying my product and service with joy, and if they're enthusiastic about buying it, they're going to tell others. They're going to tell others the experience of talking with me. They're going to be one of my best affiliates or referral people. So what winds up happening is that they are engaging the process of connection and relationship, because I'm focusing on meeting their needs where they are.
Mm-hmm.
So let's press on that example a little bit. So, Mike, it sounds like that you're going to choose to spend your money in another place. Is it because, and here's another inquiry question, is it because that maybe you haven't seen the value yet of what I'm offering and how much money it can either make you or save you? Could that be the reason why you're saying that? See, I'm staying in a place of inquiry.
Right, I understand. So
I'm finding out the good reason.
So let me ask you a question. I have a client of mine I was working with who was trying to raise some money, and he had quite an extensive network of, I'd call them well-to-do individuals, the type of folks that live in the good part of town, well-to-do,
sure.
Not billionaires or people worth $50 million, but good, solid people who had successful careers as doctors, lawyers, engineers, small business people. All of them had money to invest in his business. I thought he had very good relationships with these people, but his efforts to get them to invest even relatively small amounts were completely unsuccessful. And I asked him, I said, well, why did these people turn you down? And his excuses, the excuses he gave as to why these people did not invest in the business, from my perspective as a financial person, didn't make a lot of sense. What do you think he was failing in the way he communicated with those potential investors, and maybe they were stringing him a line? I think I can say BS on the airwaves. They were stringing him a line of BS.
Yeah, they were, and it was his communication patterns. Let's go over what are the 7 things investors need in order to invest in something. I think those seven motivators will be helpful for your listener. So motivator number 7, and I'm going from the bottom to the top, and watch what happens and see how you feel differently every time I do this. It's really funny stuff. So number 7 is return on investment. That there's a good sense that there's a good return on investment. Now, notice I said that was number 7. Most people will say that was number 1. It is clearly not number 1.
Ah, okay.
Number 6 in the list is that the quality of communication and the clarity of the company to the investor must be met. There's got to be communication and clarity between the investor and the company. So this is why quarterly reports are written. This is why monthly newsletters are written. So the investor gets to see that money is moving, and it's moving in a direction that is positive and has a good outcome to it.
Gotcha.
So the communication is next. All right. Now this is when it gets a little bit interesting, because number 5 on the list is that the business has the form of trust, has the form of integrity, that it will bring bad news early.
Oh.
If there's not bad news being delivered, or news that's proportional, if it's always up, that actually causes the investor to get nervous and withdraw.
Oh,
and
interesting.
not create the quality of connection that we would like. Isn't that interesting?
So the expectation
we actually need to.
The expectation is that if the investor, if there's something isn't going according to plan, which with particularly entrepreneurial firms, small companies trying to grow big, often you do find hiccups. They want to be sure that the entrepreneur is going to communicate those hiccups and the roadblocks quickly and honestly, as opposed to hiding them under the rug type of thing.
That's correct. Correct. That's actually one of the biggest problems inside. And oh gosh, I could do a whole nother show on the political situation. Is that if we aren't being straight and honest and transparent and in a certain kind of way, it's not, here's the books, look at them, there's nothing there. That's not effective. The transparency means I've got to meet the person where their belief structure is and then nurture them to the truth. Let me say that one more time. Transparency is I got to meet the person where their belief structure is, and then I've got to build the bridge between that and the truth that I'm experiencing. Because otherwise people disregard facts, disregards truth, and say you just made that up. And you're going like, wait, but this is the evidence. But it doesn't matter, because the bridge needs to be built from their belief structure over to where the other person, or, otherwise then, I don't believe you. All your people are the same. This is what you do, blah, blah, blah. I've heard this from other companies before. Many CEOs have said the same kind of thing that you're saying. Every time I look at an investor deck, I'm going like, oh my gosh, another one of these. It's like who cut this cookie cutter? There's no quality of number. Now it's number, number. Are we on number 4 now on our list? I think.
Yeah, I think we're on number 4.
There's no quality of number 4, which is connection, because you haven't delivered integrity, you haven't delivered, authenticity, you haven't delivered these things. So I can't, I can't get, kind of the quality of connection that I would like.
Well, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
number 3.
So the next, okay, so you go through what's number 7. What did you remember from 7? So
okay.
7 is.
Well, I've got 7 is the thing as a finance guy. What I would think would be one of the most important things would be return on investment. How much money am I going to make off of this? But you say that's number 7. Number 6, we had quality of communications. Number 5, we had the issue of the investor wanting to get be assured that he's going to get the bad news early, and the real truth isn't going to be hidden from him. And then that's number 5. And then number 4, maybe I didn't get this one completely, but something about building a connection with the
that's right,
with the investor, so that he actually believes the information that's being supplied to him.
Right. That's connection sitting right there. Number 3 on the list is the need for recognition, respect, and acknowledgement. Those kind of 3 things. Now, different investors want different ones of those things. So, for example, if I'm an investor and I just plunked money down on this new business, I want to be able to go to a party and talk to a fellow investor and say, he will not believe what happened. And by the way, I'm a pretty smart guy, and I need some recognition and some acknowledgement for making such investment, because, man, this one is a winner. So their need for respect and their need for their need for respect and recognition is being met by being in relationship and in connection with this product or service.
Wow.
So
okay,
Bill, investors, invest in what do you call products and services.
Okay, so, well, I gotta hold you off. We gotta save number 2 and number 1 for after the commercial break. But this is such great stuff, because it kind of turns the head on what I would call typical financial investing, where you think that it's all about return on investment. It's all about security. It's all about the how much sense the business makes. And really, you're saying there's a lot more to it than that. So it is Mike Manahan. I'm on with Bill Stierle. It is Biz Rap Radio, and we're going to be back with more right after these messages. And welcome back to Biz Rap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. Again, thank you for joining me today. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. And if you just joined us, I am so happy to have on with me today Bill Stierle. Bill is with corporateculturedevelopment.com. He is a communications expert, and something we've been talking about, we've been trying to relate communications to pitching your story to investors. Now, I know a lot of the audience who listens to Biz Rap Radio are small business people who are often in a position of trying to raise money. And, of course, raising money is one of the greatest challenges small businesses have, entrepreneurs have here in the U.S. Our good, friendly government in Washington has done everything it can over the last 30 years to basically cut off and choke the flow of capital to small businesses. And yet, so ever more, businesses have to be creative and effective at going out into the capital markets themselves and getting the money they need. And a lot of money today is being raised by entrepreneurs and small business people from the individual high net worth investor. And a few weeks ago, we had Mike Soon of I'm sorry, but I forget the name of his company, but that's exactly what Mike does, is he matches high net worth individuals willing to give private loans to entrepreneurs and small business people. And you can go back and check out bizrap.org if you wanted to listen to that show. But today Bill and I have been talking about 7 reasons. Okay, Bill, you need to help me here. What are these 7 reasons that you need to address when you're talking to investors?
Yeah, they're the 7 key motivators for investors to go or create a go inside their mindset to say yes.
Okay, so these are the things
to the investment.
These are the things you need to be paying attention to when you're sitting there with that individual who hopefully is going to get out and write you a check for your business. These are the things you have to be paying attention to. And one of my observations as a person whose a career is based around finance, accounting, and numbers, is that return on investment, which you would think would be one of the most significant factors, is actually at the bottom of the list. And so far we've got through 7 to 3. So let's move on to number 2 and number 1. What are number 2 and number 1 on this list of motivating factors that would get somebody to invest in your deal?
Okay, here's number two. Sitting squarely at the number two spot is team. That you have actually a team that actually occupies the 7 primary executive positions. That your team, your group of players, can get the ball across the line. That's what we're looking for. Now, the key 7, the magic 7 is the way I call them, are going to be as the following. All right. Number 1, no particular order, you got to get these teams. Somebody that has skill and mastery as a CFO, that they have experience inside this business vertical. So, for example, if they're an IT person, they have looked at IT spreadsheets for 15 years. They can know an IT business inside out because they've been a CFO or a comparable position in that business vertical. Let's say IT or law or education or whatever the company is focused on.
Gotcha.
Or retail or whatever.
Right.
So the CFO is one. That's somebody that's going to think in a logical, analytical way and have some skills. Number 2, COO, my chief operations, is got to be a person that implements, that is sequential, that has skill and mastery at basically doing to-do lists.
Okay.
They can, if it's a construction company, they've got to execute and implement those Gantt charts, and they've got to do timetables and deliver it right in the right time.
Gotcha.
Number 3, I need a VP of sales. I need somebody that can talk nice to people, that can deliver a sales script that's nice and tight and even to get my customers to buy with joy and then pick up a check as quick as possible. Number 4 is my VP of Human Resources. I need somebody to find me talent, management talent that can be leaders of their own department or own divisions, that sits underneath this executive team.
Gotcha.
And brings the skill and ability underneath the executive team. Okay, number 5. I need a person that is a VP of marketing, somebody that's creative, somebody that's a risk taker, somebody that's going to take the $1 I give them and bring me somewhere between $7 to $10 back every single time they spend one of my dollars. They're going to collect eyeballs. They're going to build my database for me.
Okay.
I want somebody to stand there with a megaphone and let people know that we're here. Direct that person to my vice president of sales or the sales team that's underneath them. They close the sale so I can run everything else that I'm running. I now have 2 different positions that are left.
Okay.
The first one I want to mention is a optional position. Depending on the company, I'm going to have a CTO as a chief technical officer, or I'm going to outsource that, or I'm going to have somebody in charge of research and development, somebody that's going to feed my product line if that's the business that I'm in.
Gotcha.
So that's one of those variation pieces.
Okay.
And then finally, the CEO. The CEO needs to have a whole brain perspective, somebody that sits in the middle and orchestrates these other talented pieces, sort of like the center of the spoke of the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And this team at number 2 is going to execute this. Now, sometimes the entrepreneur is not that person.
Right.
Steve Jobs was not that person. He was not the CEO mindset. He was the innovator, the research and development person out on the wing as a founder. And as soon as he hired somebody for the center, they didn't get it. They didn't understand it. They didn't understand the business. And if you just even think about hiring somebody that used to work for Pepsi or Coke or something like that, running a tech company, that's not a really good fit. Because you don't have to improve sugar water.
Right.
You don't have to improve sugar water. But in technology, you are on a replacement strategy of the next version of the next product, and you better get your eyeballs forward in innovation,
right,
or otherwise nothing's going to move forward.
Gotcha.
CEO must be a little bland, must be a little bit of flat energetically, because they've got to manage these other executives. They got to manage these executives in a powerful way. Does that make some sense?
Absolutely. Okay, so look at, I want to get through number one before we have to break for commercial, and we're about a minute and a half away from that. So what is
Perfect.
the number one thing, the number one motivating factor that an investor will be contemplating or thinking about as he's considering making an investment?
Number one on the list is one word only, and the word is trust. They've got to have trust that moves in two different directions. They need to trust themselves, and they need to trust the person that they're talking to. Those two things. They've got to generate in the narrative a trust anticipation, that they're anticipating, they're experiencing trust, they're seeing movement regarding progress, and that's how they gain trust, is they see movement. Mm-hmm. They're not listening to the next level of BS that's coming in the direction. What they're doing is they're extending trust, and they're experiencing progress. Trust, wow. Progress.
This is amazing stuff. Bill, we got to go to commercials, but this is so interesting. We're going to review these things in our next segment. I'm talking to Bill Stierle. Bill is with Corporate Culture Development, corporateculturedevelopment.com. Go to that website, check it out. He is a communications expert, and he's sharing absolutely for free here with us today on the radio some things that could help you convince people to put up the money that you need for your business. I am your host, Mike Manahan. It is Biz Rap Radio, and we will be back right after these messages. And welcome back to Biz Rap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. Thank you so much for sticking with us today. And if you just tuned in, we are speaking today with Bill Stierle. He is with the Corporate Culture Development Group. You can go to corporateculturedevelopment.com. Bill, again, thanks so much for joining me today on the show.
It's been a lot of fun, Mike. Thanks.
We just to summarize for the people who missed the first segment, a few segments of the show, we've been discussing 7 key motivators. Now, these motivators are the things that would be on the mind of an investor. If you're an entrepreneur out there, you're trying to raise money for your company, or whether it's from high net worth individuals, whether it's from an investment bank or a fund manager, any of the sources of funding out there, you need to be appreciative of the motivators, the things that motivate what I'm going to call the money guys, the people with the money, to write you a check. And one of the things, there's a list of 7. I'm not going to go over all of the list. The key thing about these 7 motivating factors is only one of them is what we would call a conventional financial analytical driver, and that one is return on investment. And of the 7 motivators, Bill claims that return on investment is on the lowest end of the scale, and a whole bunch of trust, communication, and connection issues are what really motivate investors to invest money. So this is just amazing. And again, Bill, thank you so much for sharing this information, because I really think if somebody's trying to raise money, if they get down and really analyze their approach, they may be able to modify their approach based upon these 7 motivators and have more success raising money. You've done a huge service for our listeners today, but tell me, Bill, how can you help our listeners, other than this radio show here, and what services do you provide, and how does somebody find out more about those services?
Well, people obviously, many times people go to the website, they'll look at some videos and get a sense of who I am and develop the quality of trust and connection. What I offer people is a new set of communication tools to get people to say yes in a positive way, so that they're saying yes, but they're saying yes with authenticity and connection. I work with individual clients and executives, and really basically download and practice new patterns of communication to increase sales to get executive teams to function better, to learn one's personal strengths and also the frustrations that come because we're doing one thing and we're not doing another, and how to do a better job as a entrepreneur, as an executive, as a business owner, to lead our staff or lead our customers in a way that's going to better serve them. And, through the coaching practice that I run, I mean, people can call me on the phone and really get the coaching they need. I don't know if I've given you my phone number, but the easiest phone number to receive, these things is just have people text me BizRap Radio at 310-433-8380, and we can actually see, the customer connection. If we can create when we create a quality of connection with our customers, when we create the level of anticipation that's needed to get things to go differently, to get things to go better, to get progress to take place, our investors stay engaged, our customers stay engaged. I'm interested in a customer that lasts a long time, not just one I'm selling and then go find another one.
Gotcha.
That's a lot of work.
Right.
I want repeat business. I want them to come. I want them to sell me to their friends. Many times people sell me to their friends. It's like, oh my gosh, I got this from Bill, and this is what I got from that. I cleaned up this thing with my relationship with my business partner. I just did one of those 2 days ago. I just cleaned up this thing, between me and a primary customer that I had, and I saved the customer. I saved the business.
Bill, I got to interrupt you here because I actually have that situation right now. A client of mine that actually engaged me for some financial work. And I did the financial work, and that really part of the job was completed. And then he called me back and he said, "But Mike, I really need your help with the situation with my business partner." Now, these guys are running a successful business. They make a lot of money.
Yep.
They're well entrenched in their industry, and yet their office is like a war zone between the two principals, and I attended one meeting between the two, and I basically said to the individual that hired me, I can't do anything for you. My expertise is finance, accounting. You want me to analyze your numbers. You want me to to design ways for you guys to make more money and things like that. I can do that, but I can't put you guys in a room and make you guys get along. That's not my expertise. But you could perhaps assist. Should I be recommending my client to you as a potential problem solver in his relationship with his partner?
That's correct. That's my fit. I come in, and somewhere between 3 to 12 hours between two people, I can usually clean it up between 3 to 12 hours, and it's done.
Wow.
And then they like each other at the end.
Uh-huh.
They'll actually like and appreciate each other at the very end.
That is
How do you like that? There's a war zone. They'll actually like each other. And one company, there was 6 executives. They were literally fractioning and going in to start 2 brand new companies. And within 60 hours, I had them back together and in revenue growth in 60 hours over 2 months.
Oh my gosh. That is just incredible. Yeah. Because, in my experience, when you have these personality issues with partnerships and businesses that are closely held, it really very much does come down to communications. And typically, you have 2 individuals who are both hard workers, who both understand their industry and their business, and who just are really bad at communicating with each other. And yet they probably bend over backwards to communicate effectively with their customers because the customers are writing them checks, but they don't seem to understand or have compassion for their partners or their business, their fellow shareholders of their business in that same situation. So that's amazing. I'll tell you what, I'm going to definitely make a referral to you. I'm going to send an email introduction to my client, and really do hope that you can help them.
Oh, yeah. I'll be glad to. It'll be great.
Okay, so once again, give out your contact information. If somebody needs to contact you, what's the best way to do it?
Text me BizRap Radio to 310-433-8380, and just make a request for communication support, just to start the conversation. Can you help me with this?
Gotcha.
And then and then we'll see if we can. Sometimes we don't know. And if you've been, the way I guide my clients, if somebody takes up more than 15 to 20 minutes of your time in conflict, you must refer them to me. They are not. It is not something you're going to be able to problem solve or explain yourself through.
Gotcha.
They're going to come back over and over again and suck your time and suck your energy out. Let me fix it, and let me set the ship on a straight course out of the storm that they keep steering themselves into.
Wow. That's all good stuff. Bill, we're going to have to wrap up the show. I really, really do want to thank you so much for being on the show today, Bill. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's delightful. I really appreciate talking with you.
Not a problem. That is Bill Stierle. Bill is with Corporate Culture Development. Check it out at corporateculturedevelopment.com. We have been sharing some very interesting and thought-provoking ideas on how communications plays a role in your ability to raise money for your company. But that's it. We got to sign off for this week. Here at BizRap Radio, we believe we can fix the United States of America through a fundamental concept that individuals pursuing their own economic interests in free markets will create more prosperity for more people than can ever be achieved through government regulation and a planned economy. BizRap Radio, fixing America through individual economic freedom. That's it for this week. We'll be back again next week with another edition of BizRap Radio.